The wealth curve represents a powerful shift in the way individuals interact with money, moving from a life where financial survival depends solely on their own time and labor to a stage where money itself becomes a productive force. At its core, the wealth curve shows the gradual transition from active income, which requires constant effort, to passive and investment-driven income, where financial resources grow and generate returns even without daily involvement. Understanding this concept is significant because it highlights the difference between short-term financial comfort and long-term financial independence. Most people spend the majority of their lives exchanging hours for wages, often believing that the only path to stability is to work harder or longer. While this system provides immediate income, it has limits because time is finite and energy is exhaustible. The wealth curve introduces a different possibility, that with planning, discipline, and patience, money can be positioned to work continuously, creating streams of income that don't demand constant human effort. This concept is not just about financial growth but also about freedom, as it allows individuals to reclaim time, pursue passions, and design life on their own terms. Ultimately, the wealth curve illustrates when money starts working harder than you. In the early stages of almost every financial journey, the focus is on trading time for money. People wake up, go to work, and dedicate hours of their day to tasks that generate a paycheck at the end of the week or month. This stage is often necessary because it provides the foundation for survival, covering food, housing, bills, and other essential expenses. However, the system has a built-in limitation. There are only so many hours in a day and only so much energy a person can give. This means that income in this stage is capped by personal effort, leaving little room for exponential growth. For many, this stage feels like a cycle that is difficult to escape. A paycheck arrives, expenses quickly consume it, and the process repeats endlessly. Even individuals with higher salaries often find themselves trapped in the same cycle when spending rises to match income, leaving them living paycheck to paycheck. Psychologically, this creates stress and anxiety because financial security feels fragile, dependent on the constant ability to work. Without a plan, people remain in this grind indefinitely, mistaking hard work alone as the ultimate path to wealth. The truth is, while hard work is honorable and necessary in the beginning, it is not enough to create lasting freedom. Recognizing the limitations of trading time for money is the first step toward seeking smarter financial strategies that move beyond the grind and toward the wealth curve. The turning point in any wealth journey begins with building a strong financial base, because without a foundation, no amount of income or investment can create lasting security. At this stage, budgeting becomes the most powerful tool, allowing individuals to understand where their money goes and to direct it with purpose. A disciplined budget is not about restriction but about clarity and control, ensuring that spending aligns with priorities rather than impulses. Alongside budgeting, saving consistently, even in small amounts, creates the first layer of stability. A key part of this stability is establishing an emergency fund, typically 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which serves as a financial buffer against unexpected events such as medical bills, job loss, or car repairs. Debt management is equally vital. Carrying high-interest debt can sabotage progress by eroding savings and limiting the ability to invest. Tackling debt with strategies like the snowball or avalanche method frees up cash flow that can be redirected toward future goals. What makes this turning point so powerful is the compounding effect of small, steady savings. For example, saving just a modest amount each month and investing it wisely can grow significantly over time, proving that consistency matters more than perfection. Countless ordinary people have built financial freedom not by earning extraordinary salaries, but by committing to these simple habits early and sticking with them. The teacher who saved diligently, the single parent who created an emergency cushion, or the young professional who invested small sums each month all demonstrate that stability comes before growth. This stage may not feel glamorous, but it is the moment where the shift begins, when money starts to be directed with intention, setting the stage for wealth to accelerate later on. While saving lays the groundwork for security, investing is the true engine that powers the wealth curve forward. The distinction between saving and investing is crucial. Saving preserves money, usually in low-risk accounts, while investing puts money to work with the potential to grow far beyond its original value. Savings keep you safe in the short term, but investments create opportunities for long-term financial independence. The magic that makes investing so powerful is compounding. often called the eighth wonder of the world. Compounding occurs when the returns generated by an investment are reinvested to earn additional returns, creating a snowball effect. Over time, even small amounts can grow into substantial wealth, as money begins generating more money on its own. There are many pathways to invest, each with its own risks and rewards. Stocks provide ownership in companies and the possibility of growth through dividends and appreciation. Real estate offers rental income and long-term property value increases, while also serving as a tangible asset. Mutual funds and exchange-traded funds allow investors to diversify with professional management, reducing the risks of putting all resources in one place. For those with entrepreneurial spirit, businesses, whether starting their own or investing in others, can generate significant returns. The true power of investing lies in the shift it creates from active income to passive income. Instead of working longer hours or chasing higher salaries, invested money begins producing income streams that require little to no ongoing effort. Dividends, rental payments, or business profits flow in while the investor's time remains free. This shift is the essence of the wealth curve, when capital stops being idle and starts acting like a worker, creating financial growth that outpaces what human labor alone could achieve. Passive income streams are the natural progression once investments begin to take shape, and they represent one of the most important stages of the wealth curve. Unlike active income, which requires constant effort, passive income continues to flow regardless of whether you are working, traveling, or even sleeping. This concept is powerful because it creates stability and freedom, allowing individuals to step away from the grind of trading hours for dollars. One of the most well-known forms of passive income is rental income from real estate, where tenants' monthly payments provide a steady stream of cash while the property itself often appreciates in value. Another classic stream is dividend income, earned from shares of profitable companies that return a portion of their earnings to investors. Royalties from books, music, or intellectual property also offer ongoing income long after the initial work is completed. In today's digital era, automated online businesses, affiliate marketing, and digital products such as courses or ebooks have also become powerful passive income sources. The key to building passive income is diversification. Relying on a single stream can leave someone vulnerable to market changes, but combining multiple flows creates resilience. Imagine a person who receives dividends, collects rental income, and earns royalties from a creative project. All three sources together provide security even if one slows down. Passive income doesn't appear overnight, it is the result of carefully structured investments and systems. Yet once established, it becomes a cornerstone of the wealth curve, multiplying efforts and moving individuals closer to true financial freedom. The moment the wealth curve truly bends is when the income generated from investments and passive streams begins to outpace the income earned from daily labor. This crossover point is where money starts working harder than you, and it represents one of the most liberating milestones in personal finance. At first, the progress feels slow and almost invisible. Early investments may only generate a small dividend or modest rental profit, often seeming insignificant compared to a monthly salary. But over time, as compounding accelerates and multiple income streams strengthen, a tipping point is reached where the combined passive income consistently covers major expenses. Suddenly, the paycheck that once felt indispensable becomes optional, not because work loses its value, but because money has stepped in to carry the heavier load. The psychological impact of this stage is profound. No longer tied to the fear of missing a paycheck, individuals gain confidence and freedom to make choices based on passion rather than necessity. Some may continue working but on their own terms, while others may shift focus entirely to creative pursuits, travel, or charitable efforts. Consider the example of a modest worker who steadily invested in dividend-paying stocks for years. Initially, the dividends were just a few dollars, but over a decade, they grew to cover monthly utility bills, then groceries, and eventually the full cost of living. That moment, when investments sustain life's essentials, is the turning point. Patience and persistence are critical here, as the curve doesn't bend overnight. The rewards, however, are life-changing, because from this point forward, money doesn't just support life, it actively builds it. The individual moves from being the worker to being the architect of financial freedom, guided by systems that grow stronger every year. Reaching the stage where money works harder than you opens the door to an entirely new way of living, and this is where lifestyle design comes into play. Instead of being driven by financial survival, individuals now have the freedom to make intentional choices about how they spend their time and energy. Work becomes optional rather than mandatory, which means careers can be pursued for passion, creativity, or impact instead of purely for income. Many choose to travel, explore hobbies, or dedicate themselves to causes they believe in, creating a life aligned with values rather than obligations. However, this stage also brings a subtle challenge known as lifestyle inflation, the tendency to increase spending as wealth grows. If left unchecked, lifestyle inflation can flatten the curve and undo years of disciplined growth, leaving individuals dependent once again on constant income. To stay on track, it is crucial to design life with balance, ensuring that wealth enhances freedom rather than creating new forms of dependency. Examples of those who embrace lifestyle design often show that meaning outweighs extravagance. Some wealthy individuals live modestly, channeling their resources into experiences, learning, and relationships rather than endless consumption. Others focus on building businesses or projects that inspire them, not because they need the money, but because they enjoy the challenge. The key lesson is that financial independence is not the end goal, it is the tool. The true reward lies in crafting a life of choice, purpose, and joy, where wealth serves you instead of the other way around. A critical part of climbing the wealth curve is not just the financial strategies but the mindset shifts that occur along the way. In the beginning, many operate with a scarcity mindset, constantly worried about running out of money and clinging to the idea that security only comes from working harder. Over time, however, successful wealth builders adopt an abundance mindset, recognizing that money can be grown, multiplied, and managed intelligently to create lasting prosperity. This shift allows them to see opportunities instead of limitations, replacing fear with calculated confidence. Another essential mindset change is the ability to delay gratification. Instead of spending impulsively on short-term pleasures, disciplined individuals prioritize long-term stability, understanding that every dollar invested today has the potential to grow into several more in the future. This perspective transforms sacrifices into investments in freedom. Financial literacy also becomes more valuable than simply chasing a higher salary. Many people earn large incomes but remain broke because they lack the knowledge to manage money wisely. On the other hand, those who actively learn about budgeting, investing, and risk management make progress even on modest earnings. Equally important is overcoming the fear of risk and failure. The path to wealth involves uncertainty. Markets fluctuate, businesses face setbacks, and investments don't always succeed. But those who embrace risk as part of the journey, rather than something to be avoided entirely, are the ones who move forward. These mindset shifts create resilience, persistence, and clarity, turning money into a tool rather than a source of stress. One of the greatest dangers on the journey up the wealth curve is falling into pitfalls that can flatten or even reverse progress. Overspending is perhaps the most common, as the temptation to match or exceed income with lifestyle choices quickly drains resources that could have been invested. This often leads to debt, and high-interest obligations like credit cards or payday loans can trap individuals in cycles that make wealth building nearly impossible. Another pitfall is the allure of get-rich-quick schemes. Promises of overnight success often end in disappointment or financial loss, distracting people from proven, steady strategies that truly build long-term wealth. Poor investment decisions, usually made without proper knowledge or research, can also cause major setbacks. Investing blindly or chasing trends without understanding risk management can result in losing both money and confidence. Equally dangerous is neglecting personal well-being while pursuing financial goals. Burning out, damaging relationships, or ignoring health can create costs that money cannot fix. True wealth must be balanced across financial, physical, and emotional aspects of life. By recognizing these pitfalls early, individuals can remain vigilant, making conscious choices that keep the wealth curve rising steadily instead of flattening under avoidable mistakes. As the wealth curve reaches maturity, its impact extends beyond the individual, shaping what is often called the legacy effect. Wealth is no longer just about providing comfort in the present, but about influencing future generations and communities. One of the most powerful legacies is teaching financial literacy to children, ensuring they inherit not only assets but also the knowledge and discipline to manage them wisely. A well-prepared family can continue to build upon the foundation laid by one generation, creating lasting security and opportunity. Beyond family, many use their wealth to contribute to society through philanthropy, donations, or community projects. This act of giving back transforms wealth into a tool for positive change, multiplying its effect far beyond personal gain. Legacy is also about values, passing down principles of responsibility, discipline, and generosity. Some of the wealthiest people in history have emphasized that their true legacy is not money itself, but the empowerment of others through opportunities, education, and vision. At this stage, the wealth curve shows its ultimate purpose. It is not merely a personal journey but a generational one. The real measure of wealth is not how much you accumulate, but how deeply it impacts lives beyond your own. The journey along the wealth curve ultimately leads to a life where money is no longer a source of constant stress but a partner in creating freedom. From the early grind of trading hours for wages, through the discipline of saving, the leap into investing, and the creation of passive income streams, each step builds momentum until money itself takes on the work. Reaching this stage is not about being rich for the sake of luxury, but about reclaiming time and choice. It allows individuals to decide how they want to live, whether that means pursuing passion projects, traveling the world, spending more time with family, or contributing to causes that matter deeply to them. The wealth curve is proof that financial freedom is not reserved for a lucky few. It is achievable for anyone willing to commit to patience, discipline, and consistency. The process may feel slow, but the results compound over years into something extraordinary. True wealth is not measured only by the size of an account, but by the independence, security, and fulfillment it brings. Living beyond the curve means stepping into a life where money serves you, and where freedom, impact, and purpose define success.